Everyone asks what killed the dinosaurs. Nobody asks the more interesting question. What if they didn't die? What if you woke up tomorrow and a T-Rex was standing outside your window? Not at a movie, not in a theme park, just there, real, hungry. How long would you last? The answer is not what you think, and it says something uncomfortable about exactly how fragile human civilization actually is. Let's start with what we actually know about these animals, because Hollywood got almost everything wrong. Jurassic Park came out in 1993. It made dinosaurs feel real, terrifying, visceral, immediate. But the dinosaurs in that film were built from 1980s science, and in the last 40 years, everything we thought we knew has been rewritten. The T-Rex you picture in your head, it probably had feathers, not soft, fluffy feathers, thick, bristled proto-feathers covering parts of its body. We know this because in 2004, scientists discovered Dilong paradoxus, a small relative of T-Rex with clear feather impressions fossilized in the rock. The larger the tyrannosaur, the fewer feathers it likely needed for insulation. But the basic architecture was there. T-Rex was not a giant lizard. It was closer to a bird, a 6-ton, 6-meter-long bird that could bite through solid bone. And here is the detail nobody puts in the movies. T-Rex could smell you from over a mile away. Its olfactory bulbs, the part of the brain that processes smell, were the largest of any dinosaur ever found, proportionally larger than almost any living animal today. You would not see it coming. You would not hear it coming. It would smell you long before you knew it existed. Now, back to the question. Could humans survive? Let's be precise about what we are actually asking. Not could one human survive one dinosaur encounter. Could human civilization, our cities, our systems, our species, function on a planet where apex dinosaur predators also exist? The optimistic answer is yes. We have guns. We have military hardware. A single Apache helicopter carries enough firepower to take down anything biology has ever produced. We have tranquilizer technology, electric fencing, satellite tracking. We contained lions, tigers, elephants, and great white sharks. Surely we could handle dinosaurs. But here is what that argument misses entirely. We did not start with guns. For 290,000 of our 300,000 years as a species, we had nothing but sharpened sticks and fire. And that is the version of humanity that would meet dinosaurs in the real scenario. Because if dinosaurs never went extinct, we never became what we are. Think about this carefully. The asteroid that hit 65 million years ago did not just kill dinosaurs. It cleared the board. It opened every ecological niche on the planet simultaneously. Small, terrified mammals that had been hiding underground for 100 million years, hiding, surviving, never thriving, suddenly had an empty world to inherit. No more apex predators, no more competition for resources, just open space and time. That is what produced us. The asteroid did not just end the dinosaurs, it started us. So in a world where dinosaurs never died, we never evolve, not the way we did. The mammals that eventually became humans would have spent those 65 million years doing exactly what they had always done. Hiding, staying small, coming out at night when the large predators slept, eating insects and seeds and whatever scraps the giants left behind. You do not evolve a large brain, complex language, and civilization when your entire cognitive budget is spent on not being eaten. But let us run the other scenario anyway, because it is the more interesting one. Let us say humans somehow develop exactly as we did, full intelligence, full technology, on a planet that also still has dinosaurs. Could we hold our own? For about 200 years, maybe. The era of industrial weapons would give us genuine advantages. Firearms became powerful enough to stop elephants by the mid-1800s. A modern high-caliber rifle round travels at over 3,000 feet per second. It would absolutely penetrate dinosaur hide. We would hunt them. We would probably drive many of them toward extinction, the same way we have done with every other megafauna species we have ever encountered. Mammoths, giant sloths, moa birds, cave bears. Every large animal that ever crossed paths with humans in large numbers is now gone. We are extraordinarily good at killing things bigger than us. But here's where it gets complicated. Not all dinosaurs were T-Rex. The Cretaceous period had over 1,000 known species. Fast ones, pack hunters, ones that could climb, ones with armor plating, ones with toxins. Spinosaurus was longer than T-Rex and semi-aquatic, meaning rivers and coastlines. The places humans have always built their civilizations would have been its territory. Ankylosaurus had a tail club that could shatter bone and armor, thick enough to deflect most projectiles. Quetzalcoatlus had a wingspan of over 10 meters and stood as tall as a giraffe. It was the largest flying creature that ever lived. Your cities would not have skylines. They would have no-fly zones, enforced by something that weighed 250 kilograms and had a beak the length of a human body. And then there is the disease problem. This one nobody ever talks about. When Europeans arrived in the Americas in the 1400s, they did not conquer the indigenous populations primarily through warfare. They did it through germs. Diseases the Europeans had developed resistance to over centuries. Smallpox, measles, typhus, devastated populations that had never been exposed. Up to 90% of some indigenous populations died from disease before they ever saw a European soldier. Now imagine that same dynamic, but with creatures that have been biologically isolated for 65 million years. Dinosaurs would carry bacteria, viruses, and parasites that human immune systems have zero experience with, zero evolutionary memory of. A scratch from a velociraptor claw would not just be a physical wound. It would be a biological catastrophe. So could humans survive? The honest answer is some of us, probably. Humans are adaptable in ways that are genuinely remarkable. We survived ice ages. We survived supervolcano eruptions that nearly wiped us out 70,000 years ago, an event called the Toba Catastrophe, which may have reduced the entire human population to fewer than 10,000 individuals. We came back from that. We would find a way to come back from dinosaurs too. But civilization, as you know it, the cities, the infrastructure, the comfortable, predictable safety of modern life, that would not exist, could not exist. You cannot build a stable agricultural society when something the size of a bus might walk through your wheat fields. You cannot develop trade routes when the rivers are patrolled by Spinosaurus. You cannot sleep soundly when something a mile away can already smell you. Here's the part that I keep coming back to. We think of ourselves as the dominant species because we are the only one that has ever existed. We have no competition. We have no reference point. We look at lions and elephants and think we are clearly above them. But that is only because we never shared a planet with something genuinely above us, something faster, stronger, more sensorially powerful, built by 165 million years of apex predator evolution. Dinosaurs did not fail. They were not weak. They ran this planet for longer than mammals have existed. We got 65 million years of empty space to become what we are, and we turned that into cities and satellites and the arrogance to believe we were always going to end up on top. We were not inevitable. We were an accident, a lucky, brilliant, extraordinary accident. And every time you feel certain that humans are the pinnacle of what Earth can produce, remember that the real kings of this planet are not gone. They are outside your window right now, smaller, feathered, singing, waiting for the next asteroid to give something else its turn.